my loyal Spurgs! So Sonic Frontiers director Mario Kishimoto is continuing his rampage of dropping Sonic info, and this is a big one. He goes into the new 2D game by Dimps, which he confirms among other things is the next game to release, also more about the origin of the Chaos Emeralds, and them finally having gameplay use in battle. He also straight up confirms what characters he wants to bring back and make playable, Sonic 06 integrating back into the mainline story, and so much else that we are working our way through this over 11,000 word script, and Kishimoto will not stop blessing us with his holy word. And I'm sorry to break it to you, kid, but this news, it ain't free. You're actually being held up as we speak. That's why I'm yelling. And if you want to leave here with the tiny amount of brain you already have in your head fully intact, you're gonna drop a like, double check you're subbed, as not only does YouTube randomly unsub and I get comments about it in every video, but I'm also the only Sonic tuber that's simultaneously a raccoon and the GOAT. Also, you are being held up and I am armed, so if you don't do the above, you're just gonna force me into a self-defense situation. And trust me, nobody wants that. Now, let's get into it!
Hey, yo, it's the Sun Show. Hey, yo, it's the Sun Show.
Now first is a weird but interesting one, and it's about Sonic 06 connecting with future titles. So a user writes, "Hello Kishimoto, I wanted to ask what you think of Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, and if there's any chance Mephiles will return in future games." And Kishimoto responds with, "Like Infinite, Mephiles is also a very attractive character in mainstream titles, so I think there is a possibility that it will appear in future mainstream titles. I think you can feel that from the fact that past titles have begun to connect with this game," which I'm not sure exactly what he means by that part. Maybe he's referring to Frontiers just referencing 06 in a cutscene, or maybe he's referencing Mephiles appearing in a ton of merch despite not being in any game forever, as well as now being in the mobile game just because he's epic. So his public opinion on Sonic 06 has reverted in a positivity. Sonic Team has taken note of this clearly from their merch alone. So I can imagine lore fans will get some big overarching game story that's all connected, the huge universe, and with an Infinite and Mephiles return teased, I am beyond excited for the story of the next mainline Sonic game. With Frontiers, it was clear they wanted to play it safe after Forces, but with this newfound creative freedom, the sky is the limits, and lore fans are making it clear what they want on Twitter as we speak. Like seriously, they just won't shut the f up. I'm just kidding, I make cringy Sonic news videos, who am I to talk? But next, Kishimoto makes 2 tweets about the Titan bosses in response to a short tweet by a user writing, "Mr. Kishimoto, nice to meet you. Please tell us what made you decide to include a giant boss in the game. Thank you." To which Kishimoto responds back writing, "First of all, I decided to do a supersonic battle with bosses other than the final boss. Next, I thought that in order to do every supersonic battle, it had to be a boss that normal Sonic just couldn't beat. Up until now, Sonic has fought various bosses, so we needed a boss that was stronger than the bosses you would normally fight." He then responds to himself following that up writing, "So, in past titles, we prepared a boss so huge that it could be the final boss, and made it necessary to transform into Supersonic. Therefore, the boss in this game is like fighting the final boss in past titles every time. Instead, it was difficult to produce." Sweating, smiley, I'm not worried. Which, while I agree, they nailed the Titan boss fights, I do think the final boss failed particularly because it didn't scale the excitement with what we've seen so far. Like, I've seen Supersonic the whole game, so while that would normally suffice in pass, here you have to multiply the spectacle factor and make this 10 times more exciting than the smaller fights. And that's something that definitely missed with a lot of people. I read the comments, I really do. I hear you guys. You guys hate Purple Moon, I get it. Now next, Kishimoto talks about the potential of Metal Sonic in a response to a tweet writing, "Hey Kishimoto, who is your favorite sound villain? I'm just curious. Also, you are so cool." And compliments have proven to be the key to his heart, as he responds to this post writing, "There are many attractive villains. Ooh. But if I had to choose one, it would be Metal Sonic. He's been weak lately, but he has the potential to become stronger." And frankly, I agree. His appearance from Colors to Generations to even Forces felt really lackluster for a character that's so cool and even menacing. Like, watch the Sonic OVA from the 90s. It's insane. That's actually my favorite piece of Sonic media ever. Metal Sonic is so evil and intimidating, and I adore it, and I could throw it on at any time. Next, Kishimoto responds to a comment about the Storybook series from a user writing, "Any chance of a third Sonic Storybook game yet? I recently beat the Black Knight and loved it. I'd love new games." And Kishimoto responds, "I participated in the production of the Storybook series as the lead game designer. If I were to direct a Storybook series, what story would it be based on? Sounds fun." Which, as the Sonic show, I always keep it 100. I doubt we're ever going to see this, but with how Sonic and the production behind it has evolved, don't get me wrong, I would actually love to see Sonic Team focus on the mainline games, and the Storybook games could go to another internal Sega studio. As you know, like I said, the Yakuza guy expressed interest in wanting to make a Sonic game that he said was like none other, and this very well could be that opportunity, but again, I keep it real with you guys. This is very unlikely. Still, it's a fun thought experiment nonetheless, and one thing I'm curious about, and I promise, I'm not engagement farming, but I want you guys to comment what you'd want a Storybook game to be based on, as there's so many infinite directions Sonic could go in this setting. He could go to space, he could go to the ocean, he could go to the ninja times, he could go to World War II. Now, this next tweet might seem like nothing, but I'll go over how this is actually a massive tell and reveal that he just puts out there randomly, and despite having over 1,000 views, only has 15 likes. Clearly, Sonic Twitter doesn't see the vision here. So, a user writes, "What tone do you think the next Sonic game will take? Like a deep one, or light one, or somewhere in the middle?" And obviously Kishimoto can't just drop trow and reveal himself fully, but instead he writes, "The tone of a Sonic game is expressed in various ways depending on the director. What tone will the director of the next Sonic game have? I'm also looking forward to that." Meaning that spin-off game we talked about in my last video, you know, the one Kishimoto confirmed? Well, not only is it like ultra confirmed at this point, as this is like the 5th mention of it, but what's different here that makes this so significant is that it's not only in development, but it's going to be the next Sonic game to release. And no guys, he's not talking about a racing games or Origins Plus, as he specifically said the tone of it is unknown. Plus, we already know Dimps is working on the spin-off game, so this is likely that title, and reportedly it's in 2D. But for me personally, looking at all the evidence presented, I haven't seen it fully confirmed that it's true 2D. It might be 2.5D like Sonic 4, it could be 2D like the handheld titles, but again, those were handheld titles. Nintendo kind of stopped doing the 2-console thing, so I don't know if they would do a 2D game like that. Personally, I do hope it's 2D, because Sonic 4 is something I literally drink to forget and even bring up in my therapy. It haunts all my dreams. It pains me to see it. Also, I saw this a lot in my comments when I mentioned the Dimps title in the last video, but they've done a ton of great work too with the portable titles, so I know Sonic 4 bad, but don't write them off too quickly, especially with how much time has passed and how the studio itself has likely changed a ton too. Regardless of any of that, confirming this is releasing next is literally huge news, and it blows my mind that this has 15 likes, and I'm literally the only one covering this stuff. Like, this is going to be a series for me at this point, because he doesn't stop dropping massive info, and again, over 11,000 words. Like, we're looking at 3 or 4 parts at this point, but after that, it's over. He's done, I promise. Now next, while Kishimoto's been giving us non-stop W's, he's also been taking them himself, with the user writing, "Sonic Frontiers was a fantastic game from start to finish. I hope the updates and potential sequels can expand on the combat and movement a bit more, because I just want more Frontiers to play." And Kishimoto responds, addressing them directly with, "Thank you for your interest in this game. After listening to everyone's opinions, I'm convinced of the challenges and the direction that we should evolve in combat and movement." Which, yes, is based in Blue Quilt, and the more that time passes, I'm just so excited for this next mainline game, as I genuinely believe it has the potential in perfect positioning to be literally the peak of 3D Sonic games. And regardless of what happens, we're even getting a spin-off game to tie us over in the meantime. So literally everyone wins here. So while his tweet literally giving massive info got 15 likes, this next one got much more attention because it's about characters appearing, and there's nothing easier to bait Sonic fans' attention than with that. And Kishimoto delivers on that precisely, as listen to this character list closely. This would be huge. So a user attaches these images and writes 2 tweets saying, "Many Many characters from other series have been normalized in Sonic Frontiers, including Tangle the Lemur and Whisper the Wolf from the Sonic comics and Stick the Badger from Sonic Boom. With that said, would you be interested in seeing not whole freedom fighters from old Sonic comics? What's that? Is that a mistranslation? Honey the Cat and Hooligan from Sonic the Fighters. I have Sonic the Fighters and played it many times. Who is Hooligan? And Mighty and Ray from classic games appearing in modern games. And to that, the man I keep in my purse at night, Morio Kishimoto, responds back with, yes, I'm very interested in seeing those characters appear. And he doesn't even go like, I'll consider it. He just outright goes, yes. A level of transparency that I've never seen before from, again, anyone at Sonic Team. Nonetheless, someone with this much say and pull over the direction of mainline Sonic games. And this tweet is so significant that The Gamer even wrote an article about it. That said, they're also the type of click farm that would write an article arguing about what shade of blue the sky is like it's some Sonic render. So the fact that there's an article doesn't mean too much, but it does mean this is definitely more significant than your average Kishimoto tweet. Next, Kishimoto responds to a very interesting and abstract suggestion for Sonic Frontiers. And I feel like I'm someone who's heard every suggestion you can possibly have out there, and this one actually made me think and scratch my chin a little. So a user writes, "Hi, I have a suggestion. What if there was a difficult option where you couldn't pick up the ring Sonic dropped? I think it would greatly increase the challenge of the game and make defensive stats more important." And Kishimoto responds writing, "Hello, thank you for your suggestion. I think the idea you propose will be highly strategic, requiring more technique. It will be a very challenging difficulty. I'm very interested in this idea. Thank you very much." And as someone myself who's a big Sonic head and didn't find the game that hard or frustrating, and games are something I want to have an option to be ultra hard, and I only do that option when it's a game I really like, which Frontiers is one of those games. So personally, not picking up rings and having an ultra hard mode is something I would love. And while this is just a suggestion, it's not confirmed or anything, it's not going to be in any foreseeable update, I still think it's a really interesting concept regardless, and even if it's not in the update, you know, maybe the sequel, Kishimoto's sequel. Now next is 2 replies from Kishimoto in a thread showing that Sonic Frontiers was an absolute W, and we should let that...
You can't help it. That's okay.
So, former Sonic Show member Donnie, the only member to have ever been kicked out, and by Jamie, writes, "In case you're curious, the last console Sonic game that managed to surpass 3 million units sold? Sonic Heroes." Which is definitely epic, and we're possibly approaching a new golden age for Sonic, to which Kishimoto confirms that stat writing, "Yes, thanks to you! And yes, you Donnie, you did it! You in particular did it! We reached 3 million last month. Star emoji. This is the fastest pace ever. Thanks to all of you for your support. Thank you to everyone who played the game." So he's even thanking us now. Oh my god. So sorry, Donnie. It actually was General. But regardless, a separate user writes, "Is it true that it did above expectations like the Sega report says?" Which, I mean, obviously yes. Do you think Sega is lying in their reports? Kishimoto's about to expose them on Twitter. I mean, I guess it's possible. He is exposing a lot of random info. But he doesn't do that here because Kishimoto responds back writing, "Maybe so. However, my goal with this game was to show the potential of Sonic Team, not only to Sonic fans, but also to the world and to Sega as a company." So actually, lol, never mind, not a clear yes. However, the fact that it's the fastest selling since Heroes should be a good sign, especially with all the negative press about the game before it launched. Like, it still did really good. So while the higher up corporate pirates at Sega are just going about as usual and are fairly pleased, I think I'm over the moon happy with the reception. However, next, going back to Mephiles, a user writes, "I'm a bit intrigued. Mephiles appeared in Sonic Forces Speed Battle. You said you wanted to bring every Sonic universes back together. So does that mean Sonic the Hedgehog 2006 counts in the Sonic lore? Thank you in advance, happy face." Which, if it wasn't confirmed enough, Kishimoto responds back writing, "Of course, I love and want to affirm past mainstream titles." So very soon there will be no need to speculate hours on end about what's canon or not through these little hints and teases, as he's made it very clear this is a subject that will be expanded upon. And let's be real, all us autists with too much time absolutely love the spaghetti mess that's Sonic lore. It may not be the best, but we love it, okay? It's a complicated relationship. You guys wouldn't get it. Next, and I think this might have been a typo from Kishimoto, but I like to believe he's picking up on our Zoomer ways. So, a user quote tweets him saying Frontiers sold 3 million units with, "Sonic Frontiers has already sold 3 million copies. I'm glad it doesn't seem to have stopped yet." And Kishimoto responds with, "Yes, I'm happy too. Further updates will not stop this momentum. W!" And that's not me saying that, that's part of the tweet. Which, yes, Kishimoto, this is a W, and this might even be the name of the new era. Like how the last era was the boost era, or as I call it, the mid era. But put that aside, because now we are in the W era. Thank you, Base Kishimoto-san. Bless your heart. I'm keeping you in my prayers nightly. He next then adds to this thought with another reply to a similar quote tweet, and it writes, "I will do my best to keep this pace with updates." And we are officially now in Kishimoto season, probably why Playboy Cardi isn't dropping. He's giving Sonic time to do their thing, a very respectful vamp king, one who would never do anything bad, never to any women, ever. Next, if you were wondering how in-depth the quality of these updates are going to be, Kishimoto actually wants these updates to give the game a whole new life. And this is in a reply that's not even to a question. And for context, it's in regards to 3 million units sold, but they write, "Good job, you deserve it. I'm sure it should be a higher number."
Heart emoji.
And Kishimoto just unsolicitedly opens his trench coat and indecently exposes himself to me writing, "Thank you. We will aim for even higher numbers with updates, so please look forward to it." And combined with the other tweet, we are literally seeing that Kishimoto is Mr. Beast brained, and even being the fastest selling Sonic game just isn't enough for him. A drive I love to see, and very true to Japanese work culture. Something that's actually extremely based. Next, Kishimoto responds to an actually pretty interesting idea a fan had, and it's in regards to using the Chaos Emeralds inside of gameplay. And they write, "Hello, thank you for your continued patronage of Sonic Frontiers. Consider next time, Chaos Control in battle. Chaos with his emerald. Sonic should be able to fast travel and teleport across the map and freeze time for brief moments during battle. Thank you." And there is a mistranslation. He's not talking about Chaos the character, but means with his Chaos Emerald, not Chaos with his emerald. And Kishimoto responds to this with, "Hello, thank you for your feedback. I see. The idea of using the Chaos Emerald with abilities other than transformation is certainly interesting. I will consider it for the next work." So of course, guys, nothing confirmed, but I think this is actually a great idea to implement, and I'd love to see the Chaos Emerald find some place in battle gameplay. Maybe it just in bosses, but I think it'd be cool if they each had a different ability, and as you progress, you get more abilities, and you could then swap between the 7 mid-battle, and when you click in one of the sticks, you see like a circle selector, and it freezes time, sort of like how Psychonauts did it, which by the way, if you ever want to try Psychonauts, I know I talk about it a lot. It's on Game Pass, so if you have that, give it a shot, but only play it on console. The PC port is literally unplayably bad, I'm sorry. Tangent over. Next, Kishimoto just randomly drops a huge part of lore, and he even says himself, it hasn't been properly explained. And the tweet is from a name I recognize from my mentions, Nefarious Boy again. He writes, "Since it has already been established that the ancients came to Earth millions of years ago, the origin of the Gaia Temple in the manuscripts and the Chaos Emeralds, since they came to Earth, they occupy a majority of the temple. How will the gap between?" And this idea doesn't get continued in the reply. It's just the sentence ends there. And I'm sorry, Nefarious Boy. This is a very bad translation. Pro tip, if you kiddos want to write to Kishimoto, on Google Translate, hit the swap language button twice to make it go back and forth to make sure it reads very clearly. If it doesn't read clearly, you'll see what it actually means. But next, Nefarious Boy replies to himself, "We hope it's explained in the next game, or at least teased in one of the updates." And like the uncle who won't stop ranting about their unhinged opinions, Kishimoto chimes in with, "Hello, thank you for your letter. In this game, it was said that the Chaos Emeralds were brought to Earth by the ancients. The part you talked about should be talked about when the time comes. What are you, Professor Oak?" So this means we're only in part 1 of the Chaos Emeralds lore. Kind of like how Kishimoto just keeps tweeting and I keep making more of these videos. If you keep buying these Sonic games, he's gonna use his time to make them the best they can be and just expand the lore infinitely. Which, let's be real, we all want, right? We all want more lore, applause. And we've covered a lot today, confirming the next game to release is the Dimps title and so much more. This video marks the now halfway point through the script, meaning there's one more of these videos and and then the big finale. After that, these type of videos are completely over, which I know a lot of you want. Frankly, it's the one making them. I kind of want it too. I'm getting kind of bored. But not to fret, ADHD Raccoon will find some way to make it more, spice it up, make it more interesting. Because frankly, if you guys are getting bored, that means I'm getting bored. So now the shills, go follow my Twitter. I need more support. Dear God, I'm desperate. I'm on my knees. If you're wearing boots, I'm kissing them. Currently, all the people on Twitter are like the people I don't want to be interacting with. So I need more of you good-hearted, genuine raccoon soldiers to go in there, man the barricades, and keep my Twitter account safe. You can also join the Discord too if that's your thing and you're mentally well enough to not be on Twitter, but not well enough to get off Discord. Like if you liked. I know I talked a lot in it, but I hope I was able to make it as fun and entertaining as possible despite that. That's all. Lots of love and peace. Peace!
You ready, Tails?